let's just get straight into it. This is John Burns with JonBurnsFineArt. Welcome back. This episode is dedicated to rendering the final surface of your sculpture. We have our rake tools and we get it to a certain degree of finish, and then we want to get it as smooth as possible sometimes. So this is how I do it. I use a extra fine rake tool, and I am taking my time. I have two light sources set up, one on my left and one on my right, and I turn the lights on and off as I need them. But it reveals to me the nuances in the surface and where I really want to touch up areas that I've missed, been overlooking, things of that nature. So this fine rake tool, I have to be very ginger on the surface with it, because a little too much pressure can really dig down and do a lot more to it than you want to. And it's interesting, as you go about this process, you may find yourself frustrated because you're realizing you're a lot farther from finish than what you were hoping. So through this video, I've, between recordings, touched up areas and added clay, reworked it, and that's fine, because this video is dedicated to the surface treatment. So if the sculpture tends to shift during the video, that's what's going on. So this sculpture is titled Andromeda. Andromeda being from the Greek mythology. She was chained to the rocks, as legend has it, to satisfy Poseidon's wrath. Or was it Triton? Anyway, there's a great sea beast that was going to come and thrash the island, and they tied Andromeda, or chained her, to the rock. Okay, so the next step is to take a brush. I just want to touch down here that I've used this tool very gently on the surface, taking my time to go over this to make sure that the form is the way I like it, with my different light sources, and making sure that the surface has a uniform consistency, well enough anyway. So the brush here is what's next. I've used spit or water, and this is a very short bristle. This is maybe quarter, somewhere, yeah, about a quarter of an inch or so. But anyway, you can take lighter fluid, and I'm just going to put a little bit in a cup here, and then I'll cut it with some water. If we're not too careful, what will end up happening is what it does is it cuts the clay so you can brush it, but if too much, it tends to make the surface a little like tacky, and then you have to wait for it to evaporate before you can touch the sculpture. So by diluting it, we're going to keep the surface from getting completely tacky and gummy, and then after it dries, I'll hit it with clear, crystal clear, and that will make the surface a little more resistant to the touch, and then it'll be ready for silicone. So and you can mix as you go. Let me stop here for a second also. I'd like to point out that if you lose detail when you're doing this, that's completely okay. You can go back and touch that up. The idea is to knock down the hard edges from your sculpting tools. So don't panic. Rejoice. So the more that you work this liquid into the surface of your clay, it'll start to create like a paste, or in ceramic terms, like a slip. So this mixture will start to, fill up in your brush and create that paste. and you can use that to fill in little cracks, things like that. But on the same token, you'll notice that when you get into areas like toenails and things like that, you can totally gum up that. So go ahead and clean out your brush before you get into those areas around the toenails and stuff like that. That'll help make your cleanup a lot more simple. But as you can see here, around this area of the breast and the ribs, I want to make sure that these areas really stand out, that there isn't those little ripples in the surface. At least, we want to minimize that. So I leave that paste in the brush, and I allow it to help kind of fill in areas, and I can also dip my brush back into that liquid and add it to help break up that surface. And the two working together with a fresh dip and then that paste really helps smooth out the surface. So these are good things. And with Andromeda, the idea was that she was going to originally, the figure was going to be draped, and she was going to be holding an ornament of sorts, and more in the style of Alphonse Mucha. Now, anybody that has looked at Mucha's work or bought any of his books, I've got a nice book, Alphonse Mucha Design. It has a lot of his drawings and murals and things of that nature, even some sculpture that he's done. But this figure was going to be one of those types originally, but the more I got into the anatomy of this figure, I just thought to myself, you know what, I am going to go ahead and do this first version as a nude, and her arms are back like that, and it just reminds me of Andromeda, the Greek mythology of Andromeda. So that's her name. I hope this video was informative. I hope you learned a couple things from it. If there is any questions, go ahead and leave those in the comments. If there's anything that maybe you'd like to see me sculpt as far as mythology, go ahead and leave that in the comments. I wouldn't mind having a little inspiration there on tap. So please thumbs up, give it a like, subscribe for more fun videos like these, and make sure you check out the description down below to see if there's anything that you might be interested in to help you in your journey as a sculptor. I appreciate it. You guys can do all these things and more. This is Jon Burns with JonBurnsFineArt, signing out. Stay safe out there.